Look at there. I love seeing all the Halloween decorations. Oops. Right there's my daughter with her new dog Apollo. We're out at the park getting Roscoe and Apollo acquainted. So John just went to a meeting and Jamie went home to take a nap. She just lives a few blocks away. And we just got back from doing the home inspection for a house that she put an offer in. And I've talked about this before. I know I shared this the other day, but she put the offer in. They countered, uh, very minimal, just within a few $1,000s. So then she accepted their counter, of course, contingent by doing a home inspection. And that's what we just did. We went ahead and hired a home inspector. And it is an older house, so we did pay a little extra. She did. She's actually paying for everything herself, but John and I plan to help her out, but everything is kind of in her court right now, and we will eventually help her out. But she doesn't want to ask. She doesn't like to ask for help, and she likes doing it on her own, and we don't want to take that away from her. But we will also be helping her. So, like in things too, like the inspection and things like I will just gift her a little bit of money or something like that to help her. Uh, and of course, she doesn't, I haven't even talked to her about that yet, but she does want us around to just kind of check in and like to be there for the home inspection and things like that. Because maybe we can, I think the more ears, the better. So, so the home inspection took about an hour. They actually got there at 9:30 this morning at the house. There were two inspectors. They got there at 9:30, and then we met them at 11. So they were there for 9:30, 10:30, about an hour and a half, and they checked everything. And then we actually, because it is an older home, we paid a little extra. I think it was an extra 150 to have them do a scope of the sewer drain out to from the house to the road, because just to make sure, because it is an older neighborhood and we wanted to make sure that it was, updated and all of that. Because, when you buy a house, at least where we're at, you are responsible for everything from your home to the street. That's all on you if anything goes wrong. And John and I years ago did have a leak in our outflow pipe and it wasn't the sewer, but it was it was, I forget what it was. It was some kind of pipe, and we just went in and we had to pay someone to dig that all up and replace that pipe. So anyway, um, we did all that, and they scoped that. They scoped the plumbing was in really good shape. It's all new the PVC pipe. All the way out to the street and updated. The house has a lot of updates. So on the surface of that, when you look at the home, you think, what could possibly go wrong? You know, because everything's been updated. It's been totally remodeled. The bathroom is completely updated, the, all brand new. And the kitchen is completely updated, all brand new. Everything's new. It looks it looks fantastic. It looks like you're ready to just move in. But then as the inspector, started going over things with us, and they're very thorough. So it's like, well, the fence, they have a really nice privacy fence in the backyard that's all white. And it's really sturdy, the fence is, but the gate was a little wobbly. So he pointed that out, and we're like, okay, that's an easy fix. And then there were little things like a couple of the doors weren't completely closing and latching. There was a gap in the back door going outside, um, where just some weather stripping will fill that gap. But they seem like small things, you know. But that's what I mean. He goes in there with this trained eye, and he saw things that we did not see, and or you know, you're not paying that close attention to. So it was definitely worth the money. I think all in all, it cost about $600 to pay him to come out and thoroughly do this house, including a scope on the plumbing or the sewer line out to the street. That was optional, but you know, we went ahead and did it just for peace of mind, and so that my daughter now has that paperwork. So, and they go back and they look at the history, all the permits that were ever pulled on the home, which you can go and look at the public records and do that on your home yourself. But he does all of that. So you have all of the records, the official records. Of course, anything that was done to the house that wasn't, you know, they didn't get a permit for, you're not going to see in the official paperwork, but you can pretty much everything was up and up. I mean, it all looked pretty uh, updated. So I think they did a really good job of that. Uh, there's one concern, and this is what you always want to look for, and that's the foundation. So it's an older home, but he did point out that there were several areas around on the outside of the house where the ground is kind of sloping more towards the house. There were some window wells open up, you know, that were not covered that for the basement, because there is a basement, and the window wells, you know, the rain comes into those window wells, and we have those in our house. You know, the water can flood those areas and goes down into down into around your foundation. There was no foundation cracks or anything like that per se, but there was a beam under the main floor that looks like, well, it was. At one time, there was a crack in it and it had to be reinforced, and they put a new beam in there. So now it's strong again. There was no indication of any damage to the foundation itself, but there is some unevenness on the main level of the floor where we couldn't really figure out why. And what he says is, in his opinion, that water has come at some point, the water had accumulated under, because there's some kind of the ground has some kind of clay in it. I forget the name he used, bentonite or something like that. I think it was bentonite. And the water gets in and that clay expands. And we think that's probably the culprit. But our question is that going to continue, or is it something that happened and it's settled? And there's no way to tell looking at the records. So just to be extra careful, and because there is a bit of an unevenness on the main floor, which honestly, where we live out here, basically in the prairie, there's a lot of shale, things like that. It's very common to see that, especially in older homes. Many of them, the floors are a bit uneven. So it's not unusual, but because we think it might have to do with, at some point, water, um, there were things he recommended. Like, I know my daughter wants to cover the back, like make a back porch, which would create a cover over the whole back of the house, which would eliminate any kind of water getting too close to the foundation. Again, there's no damage to the outside foundation and no evidence of damage, but because what we think could have happened is water got down into the window wells or got into on the side of the house and it just went down into the ground and then accumulated at some point under the house. We're not sure. And so I am proud of my daughter for just thinking this all through and not being in such a hurry, and not being so emotionally attached that that she just sort of lets her emotions take over, and she moves forward without being very careful. Because the price is so good on this home, that it's not going to be her forever home, but we do see it as a potential investment for her in the future. Um, we feel like we feel good about the decision to move forward with the house, but we want it looked at by a structural engineer. And because my husband is retired electrical engineer, he has connections, like he knows a few people. So we reached out today, and we are going to have some engineers look over the inspection for us, and then possibly pay another $150. But it's better to pay it and be okay. Just know what you're getting, but have them come out and do a thorough examination so we can tell that, so we have peace of mind. So that's why I say, and I think I shared this on another video about just tips about buying a home and making sure you get an inspection. This is why. There are things that you just, you just don't see, and you cannot. I mean, if there's any risk at all of any water damage to your foundation, structural damage to your home, you need to know. Now, this house is older, so chances are it's been standing. It was built in 1952, so it's an older home, but it's solid. It has new double pane windows all throughout. It's got practically a new roof, new heating system, new air conditioning, new solar panels on the roof that are paid for in addition to the heating. It's just got so many things. It's almost hard to not not buy it, at least for an investment property. But we have this big question mark about the structure, and we just need to know before we move forward. Because if we do find out that that's an ongoing problem, that maybe it was a problem at one time, it was dealt with, that beam was fortified, and it's solid for another 50 years, we're good with that. But if it turns out that it could be, and it's got all new flooring, so even though the floor slopes a bit, it's still very smooth. It's wood flooring. There's no the wood planks are very smooth, and it's nicely done. But we just we can't leave this to chance. This is way too important. So that's what we're waiting on now, is this last inspection before she moves forward. Now, if it turns out that the engineer says no, this is a big question mark, and we really can't recommend this, then it's back to the drawing board, and we'll continue to look for houses. Uh, I hope that, I mean, I hope for her sake. I just want her to be happy. I think she would be a little disappointed, but she's very practical. So she would just move on, and sometimes things, I believe things happen for a reason anyway. I mean, I think even though you might be disappointed in the short term, in the long run, I think things work out. So she'll find another home if this one isn't the one. And in the meantime, we feel really good about just getting all the information that we can, and really knowing what we're getting into, or what she's getting into. So that's what we've been up to today. So I took a little nap when we got home. I was so tired, so tired. And we took Roscoe out with my daughter and her new dog, Apollo, who's a black lab. They got to meet each other for the first time this morning. And Roscoe does not like Apollo. Apollo doesn't mind Roscoe, but Roscoe does not like Apollo. And so, but as we walked and had our outing, he at least he stopped being snarky. Like, he just, anytime Apollo came near him, he'd kind of do that little growl, like, like, get away. But at least he calmed down as the time went on. So yep, that was. And then we went for the home inspection. We went to lunch, came home, and I took a nap. I'm so tired, and I don't know why. I slept really good last night, but I'm so tired. I think it's just my brain is going overtime and thinking about all of this inspection thing and getting the paperwork and all of that. Even though it's not me, it's my daughter. But when it's your kid, it still feels like it's work. So I'll be happy when we get it all done. So they'll be looking over The inspection papers should be arriving by email. Then we're going to forward those to the engineers to look at, and then schedule an appointment for them to go out in the next couple days. So I'll let you know. The home buying continues, and again, if you're looking for a home, pay for the inspection and pay for the extra. Pay it, if you have any doubts, because you've got that record now. And if you ever sell the home, you can pass that on to the new home buyer. Give them some peace of mind too. So, right, that's going to be it today. So I'm going to sit here, just enjoy this beautiful afternoon, and I'll check in with you guys next time. So take good care.